All right, let's talk about it. How do you actually make the leap from the middle class to the upper class? It's not magic, there's a blueprint. And that's what we're going to break down today. The real strategies, the mindset shifts, everything you need to know about building serious, lasting wealth.
So, let's kick things off with a big question, one you've probably thought about. What's the real difference between someone who just earns a high salary and someone who is genuinely wealthy? I mean, they might look the same on the outside, but underneath, the way their money works, totally different worlds. Let's dig into what that difference actually is.
And here it is, the absolute core of it all. High income, that's all about the paycheck. It's about funding a lifestyle, buying stuff, basically looking rich. But real wealth accumulation, that's a completely different game. It's about owning assets, things that make money for you while you sleep. It's about investing first, spending later. You see the difference? It's not about looking rich, it's about being rich. And honestly, getting your head around this one idea is the most important first step.
So that brings us perfectly to our very first pillar, the wealth mindset shift. And look, this isn't about finding some secret stock tip or a clever tax loophole. No, this is much deeper. It's about completely rewiring your brain and how you think about money, about value, about time itself. Get this right, and you've built the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. Here's the big aha moment. A fat paycheck isn't the goal. Think of it as the fuel. But fuel is useless without an engine, right? The real engine that drives you up the ladder is turning that income into assets. Assets that work for you, that grow on their own. That's the secret sauce. That's how you finally break the link between how many hours you work and how much wealth you build.
So what does this mindset actually look like in practice? Well, it boils down to a few core habits. Think about it. Every single dollar you earn comes to a fork in the road. Does it get spent now, or does it get invested for the future? The wealthy, they almost always choose investment. It means living below your means, not because you have to, but because you're smart. You're feeding that wealth engine. Money stops being just for buying things and starts being a tool to buy you freedom, to create opportunities. You start making choices that will pay you back for decades, not just for the weekend.
Okay, so that leads us right into pillar number 2, building your growth engine. Once you've got the mindset down, you need to build the actual machine that cranks out the capital you need to invest. And we're not talking about just getting a 5% raise here. We're talking about designing a career, a path that can deliver exponential growth. This engine is really a 3-part system, and they all work together. First, you've got to aim for careers that don't just climb a ladder, they launch like a rocket. Second, you use education strategically, not just for the piece of paper, but for the ROI and the people you meet. And number 3, the holy grail for a lot of people, is building a scalable business, something that makes money even when you're not physically there. Let's talk about part 1, careers. Because listen, not all 6-figure jobs are the same, not even close. The key is to get into fields where the upside is massive. Think tech, finance, high-level consulting. Yeah, the salary's great, but that's just the entry ticket. The real prize is the stock options, the ownership potential, and getting inside those incredibly powerful networks. And the whole strategy here is pretty simple. Make yourself indispensable. You want to develop skills and knowledge that are so specialized, so valuable, that they can't just replace you with a cheaper option or a piece of software. When you're that person, when your expertise is rare, you stop being just an employee. You become a strategic asset. And trust me, you get paid like one. All right, part 2 of the engine, strategic education. And the key word here is strategic. We're not talking about getting a degree just to have one. You have to look at it like an investor. What's my return on investment? You take something like a top-tier MBA program. The classes are great, sure, but the real value, it's the access, it's the network. The people sitting next to you could be your future business partners, your future investors. That network, that's a massive part of the payoff. And that brings us to the third and maybe most powerful part of the engine, building a scalable business. Why is this such a big deal? Because it's the ultimate way to snap the link between your time and your money. The goal is to create systems, whether that's software, a product, a service, that generate revenue without you having to be there 24/7. That's true financial freedom. That's when your wealth starts to grow on its own, freeing you up to think bigger. Okay, so let's recap. You've got the mindset, you're building the engine. So what's missing? That brings us to pillar number 3, the power of networks. If your career is the engine, think of your network as the turbocharger you bolt onto it. It's the accelerator. It's what takes all your hard work and multiplies it like tenfold. You know, once you get to a certain level, everyone is smart. Everyone works hard. That stuff just gets you in the door. It's table stakes. The thing that really separates people is access. Access to the right information, the right deals, the right opportunities before anyone else knows about them. And where does that access come from? Your network. A single conversation with the right person can open a door that you could have spent years trying to break down on your own.
So where do you find these people? Well, it doesn't just happen by accident. You have to be intentional about it. This means joining the right professional groups, really using that alumni network from your university, or maybe even getting on the board of a charity you care about. You have to put yourself in the rooms where influential people gather, because that's where the real conversations happen, where deals are made, and it's usually not in a stuffy boardroom.
And here's the secret to doing this right, the real pro tip. Flip the script. Most people go into networking thinking, what can I get? Don't do that. The most connected, most successful people walk in thinking, what can I give? How can I help the people in this room? When you lead with value, when you're genuinely trying to help others, people notice, especially important people. And that's how you build real, authentic relationships, not just a stack of business cards.
All right, on to our fourth and final pillar. This one is called playing the long game. This is where you level up. We're moving beyond just making money and into the world of keeping it and growing it for the long, long haul. We're not just talking about your retirement anymore, we're talking about building a legacy.
This is what people mean when they talk about generational wealth. It's a huge mental shift. You stop thinking just about your own life, and you start thinking in terms of, well, a dynasty, really. It's about putting legal and financial structures in place that protect and grow your assets long after you're gone. It's about giving the next generation, and the one after that, a massive head start. And to pull this off, you need a totally different set of tools, a much more advanced toolkit. We're talking about strategies that are all about defense and protection, not just offense. Things like really sophisticated tax planning, not to illegally avoid taxes, but to be as efficient as possible. Complex estate plans that make sure everything passes to the next generation without a hitch. At this stage of the game, it's not a solo sport anymore. It's about building a team of top-tier advisors to manage and protect everything you've worked for. But let's be crystal clear about something. This blueprint we've laid out, it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Not even close. This is a long, hard road. It demands sacrifice, it demands insane discipline, and it means taking smart, calculated risks over a very long time. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We're talking decades, not just a few years. So that leaves us with one final question to chew on. The blueprint is there, right? The path is clear. But it makes you wonder, is getting all that wealth the actual end goal, or is it just a tool? A key that unlocks the door to a totally different kind of journey? One about what you can build, the impact you can have, the legacy you leave behind. What's it all really for? Definitely something to think about.